I'm Christine Collins, and today I'm going to answer a question that I'm asked very often, which is how can I make my content process more sustainable, more easy for me to keep up with? And that is a challenge that I think many entrepreneurs struggle with. And so I wanted to give you three easy things that you can implement that will make it easier for you to continuously produce content. And in other videos, I've talked about the importance of consistency in relationship to your audience. And one of the reasons for that is because there are people who will see one thing one time and be ready to work with you, but there are other people who need that long-term relationship with you in order to build that trust. And part of that is in relation to the consistency of content, whether it's your tips, your promos, your appearance in social media, whatever that looks like for your unique business, the ongoing relationship that you have is part of building that trust and that reliability in you. So there are three things that you can do to make this easier for yourself. The first one is to create a content library. And it really doesn't matter what kind of a tool or platform or system you use to create that content library. The piece that does matter is that it's easy for you to use. So you don't want to get into something that's very complex or very challenging, or you have to learn a whole new thing how to use it. It can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet or as complex as a specific tech platform that just really works well for you. I have tried many different things through the years and have settled on a couple of things that work well for me, but what works well for me is not necessarily what's ideal for your business. And just to throw out a few examples, there are things like Asana, there are things like Trello that hold or house your content. We've already talked about Excel or Google Sheets, a simple spreadsheet. There are also things like Infinity. So there are a lot of different ways that you can house content, as well as posting it on a site like WordPress for your blog. So when you have decided the best way for you to house a content library, my suggestion is that what you do is collect up the best pieces of content as you create them. So for example, if I decided that this particular blog was very popular and I saw that there was a lot of engagement, it was ultimately based on a question that was asked, so it's clearly something that is of interest to my audience, then I would want to take this video or this blog and house it inside my content library for it to ultimately be used again at some point in the future. So step one, content library, platform, design, and system of your choice. It ultimately is simply a way for you to create a collection that you can tap back into for various different things, and we'll discuss some of those things in just a second. So content library, housing your best content. You don't have to save everything. If you create something and it was kind of a flop, or you decided it just wasn't your best work for whatever reason, it doesn't have to get included. It just depends on how quickly you're trying to build your library, ultimately how many pieces you need to have in there, and whether or not you decide that that particular piece of content belongs as part of that collection. The second piece is to repurpose. And so that is where we go into the content library. We identify the pieces that can and should be repurposed. And again, it doesn't have to be everything in your library. You may have shared something, let's say you shared it for a particular occasion, a holiday or something going on in your life, and it was just a personal share. And therefore, it's not relevant for you to take it and use it again. Then you leave that one alone. So we're looking for things that have a consistent message, something that is supporting to your business and that you would like to share again with your audience. When you are looking at the types of things to repurpose, one thing to look out for would be content pillars. So if you have some key themes that you consistently talk about. So for me, I frequently discuss things like hypnosis, talking about the subconscious mind, talking about the neuroscience of how our brains work and how that informs our marketing. That would be an example of a content pillar or theme. And so I might be looking for content that is consistent with that theme. Another example would be talking about things like this, how to make content easier. So if I have something that fits that theme, I may want to use that again. So once you've identified a few things that really seem to be worth taking the time to repurpose, then you can decide how you wish to repurpose it. One way to repurpose content is to simply share the same or very similar work again after a period of time. So you wouldn't necessarily want to share it again the next day, but maybe in a month or 3 months or something like that, whatever interval feels right for you, you may want to put that exact same work or alter it slightly, maybe change the opening line so that there's something fresh about it and share it out again because number one, there will be some people who have missed it. They just never saw the first one. And number two, sometimes we need to see the same message more than once for it to really sink in. And sometimes people are listening to a video or an audio or they're reading a blog while they're multitasking, doing something else. They may have missed a portion of what you said. So it's always beneficial to share some of the same work again and again until it has the opportunity to reach everybody that really needed to hear that message. And you can also take it and instead of sharing the exact same or similar, you can chop it up into smaller bits. So let's say you had a lengthy blog or a lengthy video or audio or podcast, and there were a few nuggets in there that were really the crux of what you were talking about. Maybe you had 3 bullet points, for example, like I do with this one. You might want to take each of those 3 bullets and turn it into a social media post. So you could take bullet 1 and say, hey, here's a fun fact tip. Hey, did you know, blah, blah, blah. Share your tip, include some kind of an image, something that makes it unique from the original share. And you can do that with each of the 3 bullets and make 3 separate posts out of that. If you had it as a video, you can also grab the transcript for that video and turn it into something written, and vice versa. If it was a written blog, you can turn that into a video or podcast or an audio because the message is the same, but the delivery and the format is different, and it will reach people that are different. Some people need to hear things. Some people need to visually see things or be able to read it. So you have the opportunity there to create new types of content from something that you've already created. And so by taking it and kind of chopping it up and reorganizing it and editing it and turning it into different things, you're ultimately getting a same or similar message out, but in a new way. And perhaps, as in the example of breaking it down into the 3 bullets, you're sharing it in a more bite-sized way. So somebody who did not have the time to sit there and listen to the full video or sit there and read the full blog can get just one quick tip out of it and see it on your social media or in a group or something like that and still benefit from your wisdom and what you had to share there. So content library, repurposing, and then the third one is to batch your work by energy. Now there are a lot of different ways to create content, and I have, obviously a whole host of videos about how to get into creative flow and how to get juicy ideas for your content. But as far as the creation process itself, it can be broken down into creating, editing, and then planning it out. So there's the creation process where you are recording the video, writing the blog, doing the work of generating the content. Then there's usually some kind of an editing process. And I know that sometimes people will outsource this, so you can decide if this is relevant to you or not. But there are moments of either cropping a video, editing a blog, what I call killing your darlings and really cutting out the irrelevant pieces, making it as succinct as possible so that your audience can truly digest it and get the core of what you're talking about. Ultimately, just polishing and refining the overall finished product. So that's the editing process. And then the planning part of it is deciding how, when, and where you're going to share that work. So are you going to post it to social media the next day? Or are you going to save it and put it into a WordPress blog a week away? Or are you going to post it into Facebook groups next month? So it's deciding the logistics of the how, when, and where to share that work. That is the planner concept. And each of these different processes require a different kind of energy. In order to create something, we have to step into the creator mind, the mind that can generate juicy, exciting, thrilling ideas, the mind that can decide what work is relevant to our audience. The editor mind is almost the opposite of the creator mind. It's ruthless. It's slash, cut, crop, deciding which sentences are redundant, and you've already said it enough. You don't need to keep saying the same. So the editor is ruthless, and it's a very different energy than the creator. And sometimes it's confusing to try to do all of that like in the same day or in the same hour. So deciding for you how you want to plan that out. And I'll just tell you the way that I do mine, and it doesn't have to be the way you do yours, but I like to record a batch of videos and then at a completely different time go in and edit them. Or I might write a few blogs. I might, sometimes I'll just kind of sit there with my notebook and brainstorm like, okay, these are some really exciting blog ideas, or here's some sales copy, here's some things I want to include in my next round of content. And I'll write them down, and then I actually edit them at a different time. And then deciding how and when I want to share it happens at a different time as well, so that I'm not overwhelmed by this process of, okay, I've got to record this video, and then I've got to edit this video, and then I've got to decide when to share this video. I like to separate it out for myself because the energy that I need to create is different than the energy I need to ruthlessly edit, and the logistical energy that's required in planning strategically out when I would like to share this content, how I would like to share this content, where to share it. So when you batch by energy in that way, you ultimately conserve your energy because you can just kind of conjure up that, okay, I'm in creator now. Any idea is a good idea. There's no bad ideas. Just write down everything. And then later you can go back and slash and burn and decide, no, that one wasn't very interesting. I'm not going to record that one. I'm not going to write that one. So it allows you the freedom to conserve your energy based on that mode that you're working from. So those are 3 ways that you can make your content process energy reducing, more sustainable. Number 1, content library. Number 2, repurposing. And then number 3, batching by energy. I hope you found this useful. Once again, I'm Christine Collins. You can get more free content from me and check out my work at transformcreate.com. And in the meantime, I hope that you have an absolutely magical and creative rest of your day.